Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Great to have you with us on the program. Our guest, as mentioned, is Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye. He's the founder and general overseer of Zion Praise Center International Incorporated Churches, the president and founder of Zion Bible Institute, president and founder of Zion Foundation. He operates in different gifts as the Spirit of God permits, travels extensively, preaching the good news and demonstrating the power of the risen Christ. He resides with his family in Scotland, United Kingdom. He's the author of the book, God Will Do It For You, Don't Give Up. Pastor Joe, welcome to This Week in America. It is great to have you with us on the program.
Thank you very much, Rick. I'm glad to be on the air with you.
I mentioned a man of many travels. You were in Alaska before we're doing this interview. You're in Idaho. You're going off to Salt Lake City. Scotland is where the family is. You literally are all over the world doing great work, and we're going to talk about that in the book, God Will Do It For You, on the program today. Let's go back to 1985. You're in Nigeria, and suddenly you have this feeling that you're being called to go to Scotland, and you try to ignore this. And so often people get these messages and they feel like, no, I really don't want to do that. Talk about that situation, because you really didn't want to leave your comfort zone. You were very happy in Nigeria, but this persisted that you were being called to go to Scotland. Talk about that.
Yes, Rick. At that time, Nigeria was a beautiful country, not what it is right now with all these Boko Haram crazy things. It was a peaceful country. And I was just happy being in Nigeria, living in Lagos. But when I got the prompting to go to Scotland, I've never heard about Scotland. We hear about England, the Queen of England, not Scotland. But I didn't want to go because I was comfortable with the people I was around. And after many months of pain, I decided, okay, well, we're going to give it a try. Let me go and see where this Scotland is.
Yeah, and you talk about, there's a great scene of the book. It's 1986. You're at British Airways, and you're saying, basically, I want to go to Scotland, and they're saying where, and you're saying, I don't know. Name a couple of cities. I mean, you really were going over on blind faith at that point, weren't you?
Honestly, Rick, because I had never traveled out of the country at all. That was my first time. So at that time, the pastor I was working under said, well, they didn't want me to go. They said, well, we don't want you to go anywhere. How can you go to the unknown? You don't need to go to where you don't know anything about, especially in a white country. If you are going to Africa, that's okay. But to go to a country that's far away, a white country, they didn't want me to. But finally, when I decided I was going to do that, I was asked to go to the British Airways office in Lagos to arrange for the flight. And I went. I walked in and I told the ladies I wanted to go to Scotland. They said, well, excuse me, sir, Scotland is a country. I was shocked. I said, well, that's where I want to go. They said, okay, we'll get you a ticket. Tell us which city, which airport you want to fly into. I said, I don't know. And they laughed at me. They thought I was joking, but I didn't know. So she explained, she said, Scotland is a country. There are many cities in Scotland and many airports. So choose one. I said, well, just choose for me. Anyone you choose, I'll go. So she said, okay, we have Glasgow, Edinburgh. I said, I'll go to Glasgow. And they thought I was joking. That was how I got my ticket.
It's amazing, and it's in the book, God Will Do It For You, Don't Give Up. Dr. Joe Nwokoye, our guest in the program, Nwokoye, our guest in the program, Pastor Joe, we will call him. And information on the book, and you can link on directly with Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and it's available at Christian bookstores all across the country. Go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, to get information. Talk about, because God Will Do It For You, that really sums it up. I mean, you had this calling, you knew what you had to do. You didn't give up, but you really didn't know what to do. So you really felt it was divine inspiration at that point that got you to Glasgow.
Really, exactly, Rick, because we were colonized by British. Nigeria was under British for so many years. So it's easy for us to get into Britain without a visa at that time. And I didn't require any visa, so I got a ticket to and fro in case if it didn't work out in Scotland, I can still go back to Nigeria. Then I flew from Lagos to London, And some of our friends in London persuaded me not to go to Scotland. They said, there are no black people there. We don't have African food there. You will die in Scotland because it's very cold. They scared me, Rick. They scared me. Because, I mean, having been born and bred in Nigeria, I had never seen snow before in my life. So going to a place like that was scary, very scary to me.
How were you able, because yes, you've got doubts, you were in your comfort zone, you really didn't want to do this, yet this message is being spoken to you, but you're being reinforced that, yeah, you're probably right, you shouldn't go there. When you finally got on the plane and made that move, how difficult was that? Because you really were trusting in God at that point to take care of you, to guide you in the right direction.
Exactly, Rick. I didn't know anybody in Scotland. Never traveled out of Nigeria before, but I had this faith in my heart that this God is a good God. That, well, if I go there, I know that somehow He's going to look after me. What we were taught growing up in a very poverty-stricken environment is that if you believe in God, all things are possible. You know, we were trained that, Rick, it's only a dead man that has no hope. That once there is life, that is hope. So getting on the plane going to Glasgow, I was the only black man in the whole plane. So I thought, oh Lord, where am I going? It was just a 1 hour flight. But, you know, going to a place like that, and I was the only black man on the flight going to Glasgow, it was scary, but at the same time I thought, well, there's no turning back now. I must get to Scotland. If it didn't work out, I have a return ticket. I'll just go back to Nigeria. That was what was in my heart when I was making that journey.
It's amazing the way you were able to touch people, continue to be able to touch people. The book is called God Will Do It For You. Don't give up. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Once you get there, you're led to start a church. Once again, you're totally out of your comfort zone. Talk about that and establishing what you said was probably the world's smallest church at the time. I mean, you were starting this from the ground up, literally.
Yes. Oh yes, yeah. I mean, you know, I arrived into Glasgow Airport. That's a long story, but they will get it from the book. When I got to the city where I was going to, I had called this pastor from London. I just went into the telephone book and I picked up, as I was led, a particular name, a pastor in this city in Scotland, and gave me a call. And I said, well, I am so person from Africa, never been to Scotland before. Can I come and see how Scotland looks like? So he said, oh, brother, yes, you can come, because he was trained in South Africa, in a Bible college in South Africa. Somehow he knew. He had African connection, if you like. So arriving at the city, I was the only person arriving at the train station in this city. And this pastor walked on to me and said, I guess you are Joe. I said, yes, because I don't know him, but he knew me. So we kind of hugged each other together, a black man and a white man together in a white city. And that was how the journey began.
The book is called, God Will Do It For You, Don't Give Up, and that really is such an appropriate title for what you were able to do, and it's all detailed in the book, God Will Do It For You. The information on the book available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You come in contact with several interesting people. You talk about in the book, the soccer star Marvin Andrews. Talk about that. Actually, football, but we would call it soccer here because football's already taken with the National Football League. Talk about your involvement, and you've got a chapter where you describe him as an unbelieving football player and one where he is a believing football player. Talk about the impact you had on him, he had on you.
Yes, you know, when we started the church in Scotland, Marvin Andrews originally was from Trinidad and Tobago. So he came to Scotland to play soccer, as you call it here in the United States. And before he was able to sign for the team, he had to go through a test. So the doctor realized that he had an injury in his groin, and they were going to have a major surgery. If not, he cannot play. So at that time, he was not a Christian. He just came from Tobago. So somebody who knew me connected him to me. So he came in and I spoke to him. I said, look, you know what? I said to him, Marvin, your dreams are achievable. You don't have to give up. If you can only put your trust on the creator of heaven and earth, he will make it happen. He looked at me and said, but I need to go through surgery. I said, well, it's up to you. You can decide. You have a dream to be a professional soccer player. So I counseled him. We prayed. After some time, he went back to the club, and the club got the doctor of the club, Red Rovers, and they examined him over and over and over again. The injury had disappeared. So miraculously, God healed him, and he signed a lucrative contract with this club and started playing the game of football. And it happened that the club he was playing for was the club that our former Prime Minister of Great Britain, Gordon Brown, supports. So this is how the whole thing escalated, and Marvin became a superstar in United Kingdom and played for his country in Tobago for 102 caps. That's amazing.
Yes, it is. And that's all in the story. The conversion, the healing is in the book. God Will Do It For You. Don't give up. As you travel the world and you talk with people and you know firsthand because it's your life and you've seen it in others, is it difficult to believe that God will do it for you?
Yes, Rick, it is. It is difficult because we live in a world where people want to see something before they believe. They want to feel something. They want to hear something. So in that sense, it's difficult. Nobody wants to launch out into the unknown. I don't blame them in a way, but when we look at what is happening in our society right now, that people are afraid of their lives, their properties, all over the world, that is somebody we can trust, and that is the Almighty God. And I always tell people in Alaska, I spoke to so many people. I went to 3 cities in Alaska. I went to Sitka, Alaska. I went to Juneau, and I went to Petersburg. And I keep telling them the same message. Don't give up, because it is not over yet. God is still in control. And I tell people the same everywhere I go.
The book is God Will Do It For You. Don't give up. Our guest on the program is Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye, or Pastor Joe, as we're calling him on the program. Last name spelling is Nwokoye. If you remember the name of the book, you can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, a Christian bookstore, anywhere across the country. God Will Do It For You. Don't give up. Time running by way too quickly with Pastor Joe in the program. You end the book with a number of testimonies. Talk about several of those that are especially important to you, because you've got people that really have decided, yes, I will turn myself over, and miracles literally have happened.
Yes. Especially, Rick, in Turkey. Turkey is 99.99 Islamic nation. And what we are seeing there, it's unprecedented. God literally transforming people's lives. I believe that God uses doctors. Absolutely. Could you imagine where our lives would be without doctor? But also, that's what we call divine intervention of God. Somebody says success requires no explanation, but failure permits no alibi. And I believe that there is no situation that God cannot change. The God who created every anatomy of a man has the power and authority to change and remake them if he chooses. We have seen literally, Rick, the dead raised from life. That is, from death brought back to life. We've seen cancers disappear. We've seen tumors. People's life, that's why it's documented for people to see. HIV healed. Why not? Because only God can do it. What a man could not do or cannot do, the Creator can do it.
Those are documented in the book, testimonies in the book, God Will Do It For You. You also have a chapter in there, fascinating one, on the faithfulness of God. Is that something we have a tendency maybe to overlook?
We do. For instance, in the United States, God has blessed America so much. In traveling to different parts of the world, there is no country on this earth that is as blessed as the United States. I tell the Americans, I said, you don't know what you have until you travel out of the United States, then you appreciate the faithfulness of God. We overlook it because we think we deserve it. It's our right. It's our right. It's our privilege. But it's not. Because when your life is taken, you realize that all those things you've been accumulating or putting your hope on will disappear. So the faithfulness of God, God will be faithful to those who wants him to be faithful to. God doesn't force anybody to believe in him. No, he's a just God. And that is what I believe. This nation is a great nation. But at the same time, some people are very ungrateful to what God has done or is doing for them.
One of the chapters in the book is the dangers in foreign missions. That's something that's been discussed quite a lot because of news events in the last 6, 7, 8 months, maybe even over the course of the past year. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for instance, when I go to Nigeria, I went to preach on the northern part of Nigeria where the Boko Haram had just finished bombing a church. But I had to go and preach because God was leading me to go and do that. We had to go and help and feed the hungry. We will not say we will not go, but we are cautious. Going to India, I was kidnapped in India. God saved me miraculously. It is also in the book because it's a place that I go maybe once a year, a country of 1.2 billion people, and people are just like flies all over the place. So there are dangers in going to a foreign mission. We tell people, be careful as you travel because the world is wicked. You see what is happening all over the world and even within our countries, in Britain also, here in the United States. So there is a danger in it. And I believe that something has to be done.
Do you ever look back on your life, and it's so instructional to all of us to read the book, God Will Do It For You, Don't Give Up, and to learn lessons from this, but do you ever look back and go, how many people I've been able to touch because I really followed what the message was, the fact that God kept telling me to do this. It would have been pretty easy to stay where you were and very comfortable. Do you ever look back and go, I am really grateful I did this because you literally have touched, thousands, tens of thousands of lives all across the world?
Yes. As I travel, I see a lot of things happening. And I know that as I travel, there are people who are downhearted, downcasted. People are in pain. People are suffering. And my message or my mission is to give them hope. That is the gospel. I tell people that the gospel is the good news. I don't believe in condemning people. There is no one that Jesus Christ condemned. There is no one that God condemns. Like what is happening in the world, that we hear some Muslim people doing certain things that is not right and saying that they are doing it for God. It is not scriptural. It's not even in the Quran. Could we imagine what we will do if we can just love each other and appreciate each other? Could you imagine how this world would be? And that is the gospel in a nutshell. He said, treat your neighbor the way you would want your neighbor to treat you. I mean, that is the message I pass around as I travel with the people, because people are suffering. So people are sick physically, spiritually, emotionally. They are already down. So we don't need to push them down more. We need to lift them up. And that is why we tell them, don't give up, because it is not over yet. No matter the situation you are facing, God is still with you. No matter what you have done, human beings may condemn you because of the society we live in. But when you think about God who made you, that's the reason why we are still on this earth. And I believe that as we continue to appreciate one another, no matter the color. I mean, Scotland is like my home, but when I went there, I was like the only black person in the whole nation. But now I see more people coming in, and I see, changes from when I was there 29 years ago. And I thank God for making that bold step.
The book is called God Will Do It For You, Don't Give Up. Our guest on the program has been Dr. Joe Nwokoye. The book is available all across the country at Barnes & Noble, at Amazon, Christian bookstores across the country. You can link on, of course, to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on directly to get information on the book. Pastor Joe, it's a fascinating book. What a life you've led and continue to be out there going across the world and making it a better place. Thank you for sharing the information in the book, God Will Do It For You, with us on the program today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick. I appreciate it.
It has been our pleasure. The book, once again, God Will Do It For You, Don't Give Up. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us.